everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss a specific method that I don't want to say invented, I'm sure other people do it. I just don't see a lot of people talking about it, if anybody. So I'm going to say a method that I use to transfer patterns to the hoop, especially when they include text. I get a lot of comments, very nice, beautiful comments on my social media asking me how I get my text so neat and straight. So I just thought in the last 5 or 6 months, I've kind of come up with this way of transferring that I would like to share with others because I find it very helpful and I imagine it will help others as well. So for this, you're going to need a pattern. I am, of course, using one of my own. I have not stitched this one up yet, so it's perfect because I actually have to transfer it. I think we all know this saying, it's worth a little giggle. So it's gonna be a 2-piece stitch, and I'm going to show you how I'm gonna do both, just so that you can see me do it twice. And all you're going to need is a pattern printed, if you'd like to try this method, a pair of scissors, paper scissors, and some tape, just some clear invisible tape, or ideally clear tape. You can use any tape, but the snippers, the needle and thread, the colors that I'm using are for later for the embroidery part. I just thought I would include them at the start. And of course you need your hoops or hoop and fabric, and I use a light table that I got off Amazon. I mentioned it in a previous video. You can use a window or natural light, or a table and a flashlight, or a lamp. You can be creative. You don't have to buy one of these, but I know I got mine off Amazon. Not that I like to promote Amazon any more than it needs, but I did get mine off Amazon about 1.5 years ago, and I think it was 20-ish, maybe $30. I really don't remember, but I know I wouldn't have paid more than that. So it has definitely paid itself off. I love it. It's just on. You can turn it up in terms of intensity of brightness. You can turn it down and then off again and unplug it, pack it away, and it's great. It is very thin and I love it. So I will be using this today. If there's any beginners out there, I thought I would show how you put your fabric in your hoop. Again, I have done a video on that, but may as well start from scratch here. So going to take one hoop. I have already painted this hoop black because I like my pieces to pop with my white fabric. You do not have to do that step. I do a lot with natural wood where I just leave the bamboo or the wood hoop, and that looks fine just as well. But just depending on the pattern, I either paint them black or I don't, and this one I want it black. So this is the outer ring, this is the inner ring, or the inner part of the hoop. This part goes underneath your fabric like so, and then you just squish this down and tighten it. That is how you place your fabric on. Now there is always a right side and a wrong side. I never used to really notice, to be honest. This one has a line in it. I did iron it, but I'm going to use this one instead. I always have cat fur and fluff. That is another reason I always have tape around, so please ignore the pet fur. I am a cat mom and I love them. But oh my goodness, when you're using white fabric every day, it becomes a little frustrating and like, that's gross. Off it goes. So center it. You can even put the light table on and you can really see the hoop through it. It's not necessary, but it does help me sometimes. And I'm just going to sandwich that in. So I'm just pushing down on the hoop. It is flat. Now I'm going to tighten it. And then I go around and pull the fabric. I think that is one thing I wish every person just knew. Unless it's the intentional look you're going for, I really don't think people want saggy or pooked. I call it pooked, like around the embroidery. Sometimes it gets all like bunched and pooked. We've all been there. We've all done it. Some of us still do it. But if you keep your hoop as tight as you can, like the fabric, I have to do this off camera because of the position I'm in. There we go. If you keep it tight, it helps eliminate the possibility of that. So these fabric scraps I do not need right now. The normal traditional way of transferring an image using paper and a light table would be to take your pattern like so, turn on your light table. I'm going to turn up the brightness, put it down, and center it like so. It's not quite perfectly centered, but like that. Then you're going to take your heat erasable pen, which I highly recommend. This was a game changer last year. I used the Pilot Friction heat erasable pens. They are, I can't do this without it now. I used to use a pencil. Anyway, highly recommend. Now I would take this and transfer it. Then undo the hoop, flip the fabric around, and put it the right way. I feel like this is where a lot of wonkiness is happening when transferring patterns, myself included, hence why I was like, hey, there has to be a better way. I did this all Christmas season for my custom orders, before that in the fall for my own patterns, and it has worked with a 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch. Oh, I didn't do any 7-inch, but it's still going to be fine. And this is an 8-inch hoop, so I can't see why it wouldn't work for larger scale as well. But all the way down to 4-inch, which is like about this big. So basically you can use this for a variety of sizes of hoops. Here's where the magic happens. Here we go. So we're going to take our pattern and I'm going to cut it. Now, this is just my stuff from when I've made the pattern. Obviously, it's available in my Etsy shop. You just don't need any of this. This is just me saying this fits an 8-inch hoop. You can zoom in or zoom out to adjust your hoop size, and please, for personal use only. I made this, it's like copyrighted. So we don't need any of that for the pattern. So I'm gonna go like this. There's no rhyme or reason as long as you're not cutting off the actual pattern. But I'm going just a little close and in. The less paper we have, the better. And then this, I snip and snip again, and I put it in my recycle bin, recycle the paper, call it a day. So this is now garbage / recycle, and we no longer need our scissors, our paper scissors. So I'm left with this. This, in my opinion, is much easier to transfer the method I'm doing, which is like so. This is the top of my hoop, and I'm going to, now remember, I can't do it this way because the whole point of this method, there's method to my madness. I'm going to eyeball it from the back, put a little piece of tape up here, and a cat fur got in there too. Perfect. Always. I want to see if it's centered. To me, that looks good. I might lower it just a smidge. Like a lot of eyeballing. No, see, I should go back up. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta test it to see though. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. I'm going to tape it down. Oh, fluff. Now you don't have to tape it all the way around. Just tape it enough that when I tip it, it's not going to be flippy floppy all over the place. Yeah, I turn my brightness up, I get my pen, my heat erasable pen, and I hold it up to the light but not flush down because I can't see all the details. So I just use my hand and I push it up and do section by section. This kind of looks like a horror movie of someone on the inside of a window right now. But anyway, you just push it up like this and then start your tracing. So I don't push down hard either because I'm holding it up and my The weight of my hand is gonna maybe dent the hoop in a bit, which you can always like stretch it out later, but that might affect the straightness of the text, which is like the whole point of me wanting to do it this way. So I'm gonna do it now. And when it comes to the text, especially caps, I'm going to show you another method that helps me get straight letters. And I think that's what most people are asking me about, like these ones where it's just caps. I get a lot of questions about that, so I'm going to show you that as well. Right now I'm just going to transfer the floral part and then I will explain. Okay, so that's done. I will note it's maybe not like the prettiest method in terms of the finished product because you're not being able to like draw like this with all of your pressure down on a flat surface, but it does work. And like the big thing is using a heat erasable pen, because once I stitch like right here, I'm not really that pleased with how that flower turned out, but I'm not going to stitch it like that. I will just like go slightly out. You can take your pen, fix it now. It doesn't have to be absolute perfection right off the bat when you've transferred it, but you'll just see in a minute why this is working for me, or I will explain why. So when it comes to letters, I guess my brain just works this way, and I think, okay, my OCD and perfectionism wants the result to be straight, just as it is in the text. Now, some people would choose to do this as like 3 little short back stitches or straight stitches. I'd like to do just one. When you're drawing the letter I, when you're taking out in the traditional transfer method and you put it back in the hoop and you pull it and you stretch it, the I can be crooked or it can be wobbly. And so doing it with this method, where now at the end when I've transferred the rest of these letters, I just peel this off the back and then I can start stitching. This is not going to get warped very much. Like if I want to tighten it, it might move a smidge, but it's not going to be the same as like taking it out, flipping it around. So if you like to do just the full letters because that makes sense to you, then just you do that. The way my brain works is to just do dots. So for the I will do one closer up in a second. I am just going to put a dot on the top and the bottom because I know I'm just going to stitch from here to here, and that's going to make the I. When it comes to the F, it's basically the same, an I, and then there's going to be 1 dot there and 1 dot there and 1 dot there. So then I know I'm doing 3 sets of just straight stitches, back stitches, whatever you want to call them. I just call it stitches. And there's your word if, and it's going to be pretty darn straight. And that's how I do these. Obviously, curved letters, or like the letter S, we're going to do in a second, I actually just draw it out. But as long as there are straight components to the letter, I just use dots. It has been just the way, again, my brain works. It's how I've always, it's how I've always done it. But I don't think anyone else is really doing it that way, because that, I don't know, might not make sense to most people right off the bat. But for me, it helps me keep really straight, crisp letters. So I'm just going to do 1 stitch, 1 stitch, and 1 stitch. I'm going to try and do this one closer up, so bear with me a second. Side note, I make all these videos like on my bed because it has good light, and this is where I do all my stitching. So it's kind of like sags down when I kneel. That's why that's like that. So I'm going to try and do this close. Yeah. Dot, 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 dot. And then the letter S, I'm going to trace. So that's it. It's going to look confusing at the start when you remove the pattern and you start stitching. Maybe your first time, maybe your brain just doesn't work like this. In that case, my apologies. don't do this. But for me, again, it works, and hopefully it works for other people. So I'm going to transfer the word yellow normally because it is cursive. So sometimes right now I would just do a dot up here and then like connect it down here, because then I know I'm just stitching from there to there. But for this word, it's a little curved. So there's no like rhyme or reason to this. You just, if this works for you, whenever you know you're going to be doing a straight stitch, I just put dots. So here again, let it mellow. Oh, it's all straight. I try and get as accurate as I can, but at the same time, it's handmade, it's embroidery. Some of the letters aren't going to line up exactly, and that's okay. I'm doing it as close as I can. Whoop. Okay, and then I'll do one more up here again. If you need clarification on any of this, please just feel free to ask your question or clarification needs in the comments. Do the W while I'm up here. I also just find like when I heat erase this once I've stitched, it's less markings, right? Like the stitch is literally going into there. So it just, sometimes the heat erasable pen over time, depending on which one you use, can leave a bit of a mark. Like this one actually, for instance. I did this one like 2 years ago, and you can see right there, because I was using a different, oh sorry, shocking cat hair, oh my gosh. I was using a different pen, a heat pen. You can see I did it, and then I had to heat erase it and move it down. And yeah, like it kind of ruins the whole piece. Luckily, this is my last name. This was just for me to do a sample, but it's there. So I know they can leave markings long term. So I try to leave as little outside of where stitches are going to go as possible. However, sometimes like that W, I have to fix that. That little dot will be fine. And I'd rather have a little dot maybe leave a stain one day than have like the whole text repeated like that one I just showed you, right? So the dot system really works for me. On top of that, taping it to the back and just gently putting my hand down. Again, if you really like doing it this way, where you're putting all your weight down on a hard surface, this transfer process might not be for you. But if you want to give it a go, I mean, it can't hurt. Then I just do this. I do keep, yeah, I can see my canvas is a little pooked. So like that will affect the letters, but while I'm stitching, I'm going to do this a couple times. So anyway, it's never going to be perfect, but that keeps me as close as I can. With the pattern, cat hair included, I just fold over the tape. You can just throw this out and print another. Despite having a business, I do not have a working printer. Oh my gosh, I did, and it didn't work, and I've gone with that one for like 2 years now, I want to say, maybe 1.5 years, and I just go to the library and print for free. You get here in Hamilton, Ontario anyway, you get 10 free black and white pages a day, and then after that it's like 10 cents a page. So I just go to my local library and print them out. So I keep this in case I need to use this again soon. And then I do have another full sheet. I do tend to print things twice for that reason now that I cut them. But I could also just recycle this and print it again if I wanted to make another. But that's it. So that is that one. Now that I've talked through this one with detail, if you get it and you want to go try it, good luck. Go. Please let me know how it goes. If you need a little bit more clarification, I'm going to just take the next like couple minutes and do its partner stitch that goes with it and do the whole thing all over again in case anyone needs to see. I might just do the lettering because this will take me a little bit to copy out, but I will at least show you from start to finish here with the letters. And of course, there's cat fur. what would I do without tape? Oh my goodness. Maybe shave my cats? I don't know. No, they say you should not shave a cat. It's not like a dog where you can shave them in summer and it'll grow back fine. I don't think you're supposed to shave a cat. Anyway, I just thought I'd clarify that. I would not shave my cat. So this is the side I want. You can just see, like, you don't have to cut your fabric fancy. This is just like the way that it was on the, I buy by the meter or yard. I'm in Canada, so we buy by the meter. And I just kind of unfold the big piece, cut what I need. For a few of them, I do it at once, and then I just fold it back up. So anyway, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to fit in the hoop and have enough fabric that I can at least pull. That's danger. Like, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. You want a little bit more, but I've been doing this for a while, so I think I'll be okay. If you're a beginner, I do not recommend having very little fabric. This is good. Like, this would be the minimum. All of this, if it bothers you, you can cut it. I just don't until I'm done. I do have a video on how I finish my hoops, so if you're new and you need some clarification on that, check out my other videos. So at the end, I basically get my fabric scissors and I go around and I cut about that much and then glue it on the inside. So I have enough to glue here. I just will not cut. I'll just start like I just did there, and then this way I'll start right about there. So it will get cut eventually down to almost that, but anyway, don't leave less than that. So there's that. Now I take my scissors. Ooh, that was close. If you cut accidentally, like, you just draw it in yourself when it's flipped over. Even if you can't draw, you can draw a stem, trust me. I went to art school and I do not excel at drawing whatsoever, but I draw all of these. It's easier with a tablet and doing it digitally, in my opinion, for me. But you can, if you cut anything off, trust me, you can handle it. Recycle, don't need any more. And now we get our tape and we go like, I feel like I'm a pretty good eyeballer. I don't know that everyone is. Sometimes I'm really off, so you can't just tape it down and hope for the best. You really have to flip it and see. Yep, that looks fine. Don't know if it's like super straight, but whatever. On a nail, you can adjust when you hang this. It'll be fine. Okay, good enough. And now the transfer part starts. So again, right now I won't transfer all of the floral components because that will take me a little bit. And to be honest, my back feels like it's going to break right now because of me always deciding to shoot on my bed. Not recommended. But I will do the letters. Heat erasable pen. And I'll do the big cursive one first, because the rest I will do closer up to the camera. If you've purchased any of my patterns or you plan on purchasing, please note you get the pattern to scale to whatever size hoop it says in the left-hand corner. You can always scale up or down as it notes as well. It also comes with a color-coded version with the color of threads that I'm using in the example. So like once I've stitched this up, I photograph it and then I make the pattern and color code so that this leaf is color 3053 or whatever one I decide to use. And I use DMC Threads, but you can also use certain websites and charts that are online to find an equivalent to whatever brand it is that you're using if you're not using DMC Threads. So yep, they all come with the colors, the pattern, and instructions on basic guide, stitch guide, and how I finish my hoop, etc., etc. And it will also tell you how many threads I use in each section. So that is all included in my patterns and guides. So now we will, whoops, we don't need my remote. So the B has the curved part, so I do have to draw it. The U also, it's kind of crooked. Go, not too bad. So again, just anywhere that a stitch is going to come in and go out, anywhere that stitches are going to meet and go out. And then any curved ones we do have to draw. But yeah, I will finish the rest of this. I will be posting the finished product, of course, on Instagram, and it will be 2 patterns available in my Etsy shop when they are done. I will link this video within the guide, so you may be here because you already bought these and you're in the future when this is already done. So please always tag me in your completed projects. Let me know if you have any